Lots of therapists dream of living alone in the mountains or in the remote countryside, but they fear that there just won't be enough clients to sustain them. So they spend their lives living in urban areas even when it doesn't suit their personality. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can achieve your goal of living rurally while still having a very successful therapy practice. 2 years ago, I dropped everything and moved with my family from New York City to the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. I've lived in cities my entire life, and nature was something that was always out there that you have to drive to. Well, after the pandemic, I said no more and moved from sea level to 7,800 feet of elevation. Now I get to live in a place where I feel much more connected to the outdoors and where I can live a lifestyle that really suits my personality, so I can work to live, not just live to work. And my business is bigger than it's ever been. This is something that I hear therapists dreaming of doing all the time, but they have limiting beliefs about where they need to be to have enough clients. Beliefs that are honestly very outdated. So I'm making this video to show you how I achieved this move and the very simple but essential shifts that I made so it became possible. To do that, I needed two key elements. One, a business that worked completely online, so I wasn't dependent upon being in an office or a certain location to make money. And number two, a set of systems that I can rely on to be online 100% of the time. So when the weather gets tough, the power goes out, or access to and from my home is blocked, I can still do the work I need to do without any disruptions at all. Living at 8,000 feet of elevation comes with its share of challenges. You can go for days with winds of 60 to 120 miles an hour. You have to be vigilant due to wildfire risks. Bears like to roam around, and so you need to lock up your cars and secure your trash. Some days you're feeling completely snowed in until a plow gets around to freeing you. You need to have a four-wheel drive vehicle with the kind of tires that can get you through all kinds of snow, mud, and rain without letting you down. And most importantly, you need to have confidence in yourself to figure out any problem that comes your way without having to pick up the phone and have someone come and try to help you. Maybe you'll end up in a community that needs its members to give back. For me, I joined the local fire department, and so I can be sitting at my desk and my pager goes off, and within 10 minutes I've gone from my computer to a medical emergency, hiking up to a wildfire, or putting out a house fire. But is it worth it? Totally. I get to live on my own terms. I don't have society telling me where I need to be or requiring me to be in some office I don't want to go to in order to make money. I get to opt out of the traffic nightmares, commuting, fighting my way through busy grocery stores at the same time as everybody else, or going to exercise at the gym at 5 p.m. when everybody else is trying to use the same machines at the same time. I get to take midday walks in nature. I never have to drive anywhere in rush hour, and I live in a climate that I very much enjoy. Rocky Mountain National Park is right on my doorstep, and I can go there whenever I want. In this video, I'm not going to talk about how to do homesteading. There's a ton of content on that. I'm going to talk about the most important things you need to do as a therapist to make your move to the mountains possible without losing any revenue in your therapy practice. This advice applies to being on-grid in a remote location or living completely off-grid in the middle of nowhere. Do these things in the right order, and you'll be able to overcome every challenge that you have. The first thing you're going to need is the right marketing systems that build you a digital presence and pull clients from the cities in the states you are licensed. Now that online therapy is more normalized, you can actually come up in search results in multiple urban areas while living much more rurally. It's not complicated to do, and it can be life-changing for therapists who live in very rural areas or who want to move to rural areas but don't want to have to accept Medicaid clients or cut their client list down because there's not enough people around them. Using the service areas option on Google Maps and Psychology Today and other listing services, you can get clients from places you don't even live in. You should already understand that Google Maps is a major way that people find a therapist. Now, there is a very important setting in Google Maps that you can use to pull pull people from a city even if that's not where you live. You remove your address from your profile and use the service area setting to tell Google which areas you serve. Then choose all the areas in your state that are populous and focus on pulling online therapy clients from there. Alternatively, and this is not strictly in line with T&Cs, you can get a virtual office in a city to use with Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Psychology Today. $15 gets you a virtual address with Staples or a virtual office company that specializes in providing this service. This gives you a place you can physically receive mail and physically advertise as a location to get calls. Or you could pay a medical practice or another type of practitioner to use their address as a place you can list yourself. You can do the same thing with your Psychology Today profile too, so it doesn't change your service area from an inner city. I recommend you start doing this right now so you can build up your online therapy practice and then make the move to the rural area with total confidence that you have complete continuity in your business and you will never lose a penny. Next, you can add new services that use your rural location as an opportunity, not a disadvantage. A lot of people focus on the challenges of living rurally and how to overcome them. But what if your remote location actually could be an opportunity? How much more creativity and spice could you add to your work if you saw your move in this way instead? Once you have stability with a roster of online clients and you've moved to your rural location, you can start looking at other types of services that take advantage of where you are now. For instance, you can run therapy intensives that make use of your location and pull people from their busy lives to retreats with you where they pay you out of pocket. You don't necessarily need to have accommodation for them on your property, just have a few hotels or Airbnb type places that you can refer them to. You tell them that a big part of the intensive is leaving their day-to-day life and coming to a peaceful place to reevaluate themselves and their lives. Build time into this for them to be outside or in nature as a part of the intensive. There's also walking or hiking therapies or equine therapies that will give people reasons to drive for an hour or two to see you if you're still within an hour or two's reach of a city. Use nature to your advantage and offer things that no city-based therapist can be effective with. There's also things like coaching, training, or consulting programs that you can operate completely online. This is actually my favorite, and it's what I teach other therapists how to create, because this approach cuts your clinical hours down by a lot, gives you more money, and gives you far more flexibility in your day so that you can spend it in the nature you now live in. In my business, I can work as little as 2 or 3 hours a day and make more money than is ever possible in clinical therapy. Check the link in the description where I take you through how to create a program so you can do that as well. Next up, you need to get 2 vital systems that will ensure you have power and internet 100% of the time, even in the most extreme weather conditions, no matter how long your power is down for. This is a big issue that most people who move rural never really anticipate. If you live in the mountains or in an area with more extreme weather, then power or internet outages can cost you hundreds of dollars in lost revenue every day it happens. And they're becoming more common nowadays because power companies are preemptively shutting down the grid once or twice a year when there's a danger of wildfire. We need to make sure that you can stay online all of the time, no matter what the weather is like or whether or not your power is shut down. Here's exactly how to do it. The first thing you're going to need is a gas-powered generator or a dual fuel generator that also accepts propane. There's a lot of people spending a lot of money on house batteries, but what I found is the maximum length of a power outage can be up to 3 days, especially if it's being intentionally shut down due to the wildfire risk. So what you need to do is get a gas-powered generator, because what I found is that 5 gallons of fuel can power you for 8 or 9 continuous continuous hours of working. And so with a gas-powered generator and a few cans of fuel, you'll be able to easily last for 3 days with no power coming into the house. While a battery will fail sooner than that unless you spend a lot of money on a battery. Then I added a battery backup system. Now this is just a very small battery, but it lasts for about an hour with my computer and my internet running. So if the power shuts off automatically, this battery will get me to the end of the video call that I'm on, and then I can go out and start the generator, which will sustain me for the long term. Then you'll need to make the right internet choice. You find that there's very good broadband across almost all of the country these days, even in rural mountain areas. And it's very fast too. But what you don't realize until you move here is that the overhead power lines and cable lines can go down much more often than they do in the city. For us up here, if the power goes out, cable internet always goes down within 2 hours. And if your internet is down, you can then lose hundreds of dollars a day in therapy revenue by not being able to serve any of your clients. As I said before, multi-day shutoffs are now becoming standard practice when there's high wildfire danger. Also, snow or ice on the overhead lines can take them down too and keep them down for hours and hours. So here's how I make sure that I always have internet when I need it. First off, I have 2 connections. I got Xfinity cable internet coming into the house right here, and then I have a second connection with Starlink satellite internet connection, which is up here. Now, if Xfinity goes down for any reason, I can automatically switch on over to Starlink and continue my working day with no problems. Starlink is excellent. It's a little bit slower than Xfinity, but it's more than enough for you to use if you have video calls or if you're doing some simple work like therapy and speaking to people and meeting with people. You only really need the extra power that Xfinity brings you when you're working with large files or if you have a kid who's really into computer gaming. But here's the thing about Starlink. I learned this the hard way. You have to be very careful where you actually mount the dish. Now here's the most important point about Starlink. It does a lot to keep you online. Even the dish heats up and melts any snow that follows on it. It can run off generator power, but you have to be careful where you put your dish. The first installation I did for my dish, I put it on top of my roof. I used a plastic pole, which was a rookie mistake. This survived many 90-mile-an-hour windstorms until one day the dish was ripped off the pole and it was left dangling off the roof with the wind bashing it against the roof again and again. But I couldn't get up to fix it because my roof was covered in snow and the winds made it too dangerous to climb around on my roof. So I moved the dish to a location at the side of my home where I can always get to it quickly if I need to. My new Starlink mount survived today's 60-mile-an-hour windstorm, and now I know that even if the power is shut off for a few days, the next time there's high fire danger or the cables are brought down due to snow, I won't lose a penny because I'll always be able to work with my clients no matter what nature throws at me. Next step is you need to be intentional about being outdoors or in your community so you don't overwork yourself and forget to actually be present in your new surroundings. I recommend you take some time out of each day, in the middle of the day, and schedule this out of your work time so you can actually take and spend some proper time in nature. It's very easy to forget where you are and to recreate the same level of busyness sitting at your computer without really taking advantage of what's around you. So make sure you adjust your therapy schedule to give yourself some time to actually be outside. Otherwise, what's the point in being in this area? There's really good reasons to ground yourself in nature if that's where you live. It helps to offer you a different perspective. It helps you to bring that perspective to your clients and they start to feel it as well. So make sure you take advantage of the power of where you live as you provide the therapy services to the people in the city, and that way everybody gets the benefits and you really get to take advantage of this beautiful new place where you live. Finally, you need to make your move in faith not fear. This way, you'll always find the right ways to be successful. The financial fear around taking a step like this is your biggest impediment. You can move with these fears and create problems and negative results. Or you can move with faith and confidence that you have it inside of yourself to solve any problem that comes up with you. This is really what makes the difference between those who succeed in creating the life they want and those who remain enslaved to a system that doesn't care about them. If you're a therapist who's made the move to a local area, what advice do you have for others who want to leave the city and make the same transition that you did? Put them in the comments below and let's share some knowledge that's going to benefit everyone.